are you Marine? Blah blah. You go into
Yeah.
you go into Largo.
Yes. So she says, how'd you get here? I said, I drove. My truck's outside. Let's go. She says, stay right here, runs to the back, gets the doctor. Doctor comes out, looks at my hand, does a couple capillary reflex things, but on my nails, there's no blood in my body. All of my blood was going to feed a tumor that I had no idea about.
Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
Hey, this is Jim Breuer.
What's up, Mike? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. It was nice seeing you on the road last week. And where were we? We were in Cincinnati, right?
We were in Cincinnati.
Yes. We spent some time there. We laughed a little bit. It was good. Me, you, and Joe Siv.
The gorilla in the streets of Kentucky. That was absolutely hilarious.
All right. So what Mike is referring to is after 2 martinis, I kind of started revealing another side of me, which we would do with our kid. Like whatever. Me and my kids have this whole thing where we act like chimpanzees and gorillas. That's we'll just leave it at that. And I started showing them down the street, and because I'm a little bit under the weather, I can't really pull it off right now. But yeah, that was fun. You laughed your ass off hard. So there's more road gigs coming up. We got a whole tour coming up, and the tickets, all their pre-sale tickets are my agent just called Lily before I got on here, and he's like, "Oh my God, have you seen the ticket sales already?" I went, "No." He goes, It's unbelievable." Well, really, for next year? He goes, "Yeah. You should look at them." I never look at them. So to get tickets for the upcoming shows, go to jimbreuer.com. We have Philadelphia still coming. I got a Texas run, a California run, Bakersfield, California. Are you coming to support me or what? Everyone says that's the toughest area to sell. Bakersfield, California. I have not looked at ticket sales, but let's prove them wrong, Bakersfield, California. So let me jump into today. This is the first time I'm going to have a guest in the studio. And let me tell you how this all came about. This is so spontaneous. So, where's my phone here? So I go to this little coffee shop, which I told you guys multiple times here in Naples, Florida. And it's called Bean to Cup. A little locally run. It's nothing like the big conglomerates that pay to chop your weenie off. This is just mom and pop shop, young couple. They lost everything during the hurricane down here. And I go to this little place, and they rebuilt it on their own. I really like these people. I really do. And I'm just talking about them because that's how much I admire young people just busting their ass to get by in life. And they're doing it their way. So Bean to Cup is where I go in Naples, Florida for my coffee. And there I've met this guy, Brian, and he lives on Marco Island. Great guy. We connected 2 years ago. We'd have some coffee and, we'd become friends there. And tells me about his life and his kid and his daughter and my life and this and that and all that just. So I haven't seen him for a while. And I want to say right before school started, he started telling me about his good friend. Because, my friend Kevin, he was asking about my wife and cancer. All right. So if anyone in your life has cancer, which pretty much most of you do, or that's the sick part of humanity right now. Just, my scenario with my wife for many years. This is a very good listen. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you what I heard. I'm not saying anything that's real. You're going to hear the real stories right here. Okay. So Brian starts telling me about his friend Kevin, who, if I heard it correctly, he said he had the doctor said you got 20 something days to live.
Yeah.
20 something days to live. You're done if you're lucky. I don't even remember what type of cancer, but we'll get into it. And then he said, I don't remember all the details, but he said he got this new drug, and the drug completely cured him of cancer after being told he has less than a month to live. Did you guys hear what I just said? Because there's a lot of people in this scenario. Less than a month to live. Switch to this. And now he's one of my guests right here, which we'll get into. And what sparked the whole thing, and I haven't even met this guy. He'll tell you I met him 30 seconds ago. So let me show you the text my friend Brian sent, okay? He sends me, the heck is it? He sends me a text that, here we go. He sends me a text about something that was on Joe Rogan. Mike, can you put this up, or you can zoom in on this? Here we go. So Joe Rogan, I guess Joe talked with either, I don't know much about this. I just know Joe's a powerhouse with this stuff. So it says the overloaded miracle drug for cancer? Question. Why Big Pharma fears fenbendazole. Fenbendazole has at least 12 proven anti-cancer mechanisms in vitro and in vivo, quote unquote, wrote cancer researcher Dr. Makis, MD. All right. So it goes into the whole thing, and I guess you can listen to the podcast if you check it out. So when I click this on, clearly it looks like Rogan talked about it. Okay. So go check on Joe's podcast and check into it. So now with that said, he writes on the bottom, he sends me this thing about Rogan and who he had on. And he says, this is the stuff that my buddy who beat cancer is doing. This is what he's on right now. And then I said, well, would your friend be willing to, call in and do a podcast? He said, well, I'll get his number. And I called him. His name's Kevin. I go, Kevin, would you want to do a podcast? He goes, sure. I said, do you want to do it today? He went, yeah. And I said, you want to do it on the phone? He goes, I'd rather do it in the studio. I said, all right, let's do it. So this is my first real introduction, and same as yours, Mr. Kevin Hennings.
Thank you.
So Kevin, literally, I just met you at the coffee shop because we're hooking up. You look like you're in great shape.
I feel good.
So tell me exactly. First of all, what cancer has this been an ongoing thing or something? How did this all come about? You look young too. How old are you?
Yeah, I just turned 50.
Okay.
Just turned 50, and I wasn't.
Can you ever move the mic a little closer?
Yeah, move the mic right against your mouth. Right against your mouth, because it's really hard to hear you.
Mouth?
Yeah.
All right. Sometimes I get animated.
Is that better, Mike?
That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, if it's animated, fine. Louder is fine. Soft is bad.
Okay.
Soft, bad. Loud, good.
So don't use my sexy voice.
Yeah, none of the using sexy voice. So, go ahead. You're 50 years old. Tell me the story.
So it was actually, I just actually went through an anniversary. So this whole thing is, it refreshes every year, right? So in September of 2019.
Okay. 4 years ago. Yeah.
So I was down in the Keys fishing. I had a charter fishing business out of Bass Pro and at Worldwide Sportsman.
Okay.
And I was in Islamorada, living the dream.
Yeah.
And just signed a TV contract.
Really?
And it was. I was on top of my game.
Was this going to be like the fishing show, like a fishing show or something like that?
Yeah, and I also did, because I was sponsored by Bass Pro, so I did all the celebrities. Samuel L. Jackson comes with me.
Really?
Yeah.
You met Samuel Jackson?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. So
Who else did you have on there?
Oh gosh, like every race car driver, you know.
What was Samuel Jackson like?
You know what?
He just wanted to fish.
You know what? No, I actually had him for a few days. I did a documentary with him. I was a captain on the boat that was driving him. It was a documentary um, about slavery.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a 4-part series that they did, and it was all shipwrecks, and it was all in Alamorada and Key Largo.
Yeah.
So ipso facto, boom, my boat came in to play. So
Wow, that's wild. So you
So,
were you were already doing like a show sort of, or you were getting the celebrities to come in.
yeah, I mean, I had a lot of people come to fish with me, you know, that were big names, and also had special events
Sure.
that I had people come with.
Okay, so you're crushing it in life.
Yeah, I was really, you know, I was living a dream.
Right, I'm with Samuel Jackson.
You know,
I'm with the congressman. I'm
yeah,
with the-
I was all over it. So really, it was a good time, and I had a mate, and my mate was also a captain, but
okay.
he was a younger guy, so he did the grunt work, you know. So,
Yeah, right.
and
right.
it got to a point where we were just burning the candle at both ends, you know, and I was dehydrated. We're down dancing on the equator, you know, so
Wow.
it's hot, you know, it's
Yeah.
just hot. It's dolphin season. You're going back to back to back, and then you throw the special events in the mix and everything. So it's taxing, you know. So it got to the point where I went like 45 days straight, and I hadn't really had any time off.
Whoa.
And so I started passing out. Like I would be out on the boat, and my mate would come and literally pick me up off the deck and put me behind the steering wheel of the boat.
So would he think you're dehydrated?
Yeah,
or
I just
something?
thought I was dehydrated.
Yeah.
That was it. I thought I was dehydrated. So I go to a family reunion, and you know, I hadn't seen people in years.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody in my family is in the medical world. You know, my brother's a chiropractor. My sister-in-law is a nurse practitioner. My other sister's a nurse practitioner. My other sister's a nurse practitioner. So they're all kind of in the medical field.
Yeah.
And so I go to this family reunion, and the first thing they say to me is, man, you look like
you look
terrible.
like shit.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, hey, glad to see you, you know.
Yeah, good to see you guys too.
I mean, I don't need this.
Let me know when you go fishing. I was with Samuel Jackson last week. You told me I look like shit.
I literally was like, it was actually right after filming. So it's funny that you said that.
Right.
But so I had to take some days off to come up there. It was like up in Melbourne, you know. So I had to drive a while, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know, it's good to see you guys, you know.
Yeah, it's a good 6-7 hour trip. No, Melbourne, Florida.
And the first thing they say,
the
hey,
Keys?
nice to see you. You look like shit.
Right.
Know?
Okay.
I'm tired. You know, my eyes look like your eyes.
Oh, my eyes are a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, I look like this all the time. It's sad.
So yeah. So on the way out of it, you know,
like you're okay.
So you see what I did? So on the way out of there, my sister-in-law says, hey, listen, you know, you don't have to listen to everybody taking jabs at you and stuff, but do me a favor. I know you got a lot of scramble going on. Take a minute to get some blood work done. That's it. Just get some blood work done. And see you later. Hey, goodbye and good luck.
Hey, you didn't really think much of it at the time. You're just thinking, that's her thing.
Yeah, and I got to get back to Alamorada because TikTok, man, we got a trip tomorrow.
Do you think?
You know, so
now, did you tell you were passing out and stuff?
No, you know what? My wife did a really good job of covering for me. You know, because I would take a shower, and you know, she's a property manager. You know,
okay,
and she actually works where we live. And so, because we live on site,
okay,
and she would come in on like a lunch break or something, and she'd see me laying I just laying naked in the hallway, like right out of the shower,
passed out.
Wow. And so there was this unexplained.
I would have been a little freaked out at that point if I'm passing out, but you're thinking,
you know what?
I'm just knocking my
Marine,
body.
And I push for it. I don't have time for that.
Okay.
And I got big stuff happening in my life.
Right.
You know, I don't have time.
I ain't get time to deal with passing out and what it's about.
So jump right back into the grind, and we're fishing. And that morning, I had a bad weather report and canceled the morning trip, but we had an afternoon trip.
Okay.
So they just opened up a uh, a um, um a, a VA clinic, like a walk-in clinic
Yeah.
in Key Largo, and I said, you know what, this trip just canceled. They just opened this thing. It's like it's still got the new clinic smell, and it's Key Largo, so really
Yep.
it's not heavily traveled. It's not like in Miami, and it's
No.
not like in Key West.
Yeah.
So
I've
it's
been
not
there a
heavily
couple
traveled,
times already.
So this clinic wouldn't be slam packed. I could just get in and out.
Yeah.
So at least that's what I was thinking. So I go in, I'm like, hey, listen, I just need to get some blood work done. Disabled veteran, da 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 da.
Are you disabled veteran?
Yeah.
Thanks for your service, man. Where you were a Marine?
Yes. Yeah.
Middle East?
Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Wow.
Cuba Haiti Crisis.
Wow.
Somalia.
Wow. This is another whole thing to
Yeah,
get into.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I got bounced around a little.
Wow.
So
I got someone I got to introduce you to.
you know what? I'm just so excited to, that well, I've been excited for a few hours now.
Yeah.
So quick.
This is so great. No, people
Yeah.
don't realize how spontaneous. This is not. I met you at the coffee shop. I'm like, meet me here. Follow me to the studio and let's go. Wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So well, wait. So
you're you're Marine, blah. You go into Largo.
Yeah. So she says the nurse. I go in first thing, right when they're opening. The secretary is not even there yet, but the nurse is there. She's setting everything up, and she says, "Hey, how did you get in here?" I said, "I just need to get some blood work done. TikTok. I got to go. Come on, in and out. I'm the only one here.
Yeah.
Got here early.
Yeah.
I fish.
Come on.
So she says, how'd you get here? I said, I drove. My truck's outside. Let's go. She says, well, you might have drove here, but you ain't driving away.
And you haven't even done the blood yet.
Didn't even do the blood. She says, stay right here, runs to the back, gets the doctor. Doctor comes out, looks at my hand, does a couple capillary reflex things, but on my nails, there's no blood in my body. Like I literally had zero blood in my body. All of my blood was going to feed a tumor that I had no idea about.
Wow.
So I had this ginormous tumor on my colon. And so I got diagnosed. They immediately 5 blood transfusions, bounced me around the Keys for a minute, then ambulance up to Miami. And at the Miami VA hospital, I got diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer.
Stage 4.
Yeah. It had already gotten into my lymph nodes.
Oh, wow.
Through my body.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was out of the
Is
region.
it in the organs and everything?
The funniest thing is it never landed on an organ.
Okay.
But it's
lymph
I was
nodes.
just riddled with it though.
Okay.
So I had a huge tumor, couple tumors, and then a gazillion lymph nodes.
And you have no clue. Like you're not going to the bathroom and bleeding.
Yeah, of course I was doing that.
You were.
I left that part out. I'm so sorry. I don't know how much time we have, so I just.
I got plenty of time. This is fat.
We might have to segment this out.
Man. No, we're not worried about that. Are we worried about that? No, we're not. This is fat. This is very informative for people. So, so you start. All right. So you're passing out.
Yeah.
And you're bleeding from your.
I thought I had hemorrhoids and my diet was bad and I was dehydrated.
All right. Quick question just for anyone out there, because anytime I see blood kind of my ass, which once in a while I will, but I do, it goes away and it's not bleeding bad.
So that's
was
like
yours
like Fisher type stuff?
Yeah. Was yours.
Maybe you're wiping too
like
hard.
You're bleeding,
mine was like.
Or only when you go to the bathroom.
Yeah, like mine was bad.
Really?
If I thought that there is I could have used I guess because I'm not a girl, but it wouldn't be a tampon, but maybe a pad or something all times. I was
all right.
leaking blood.
Okay.
Wow, it was bright blood. It was bright red blood.
Oh my God.
Okay. The river runs deep. I mean, I was.
So the signs are there, but you had no clue.
The signs were all over.
They were all over. Every time you go to the bathroom. Kevin, check your ass, please.
Oh, man, the signs were everywhere.
passing out.
But I
All
don't
right.
have time for this.
No, you don't have
And you know what
time.
you can't see when I'm on camera is my ass bleeding through my shorts. You can't see that.
Wow.
When we're fishing, if I get blood on my shorts,
It's the fish.
it's the
It's
fish.
the fish.
You know, if I pass out on the deck, I'm dehydrated.
Wow.
If you know, I'm not eating. I didn't eat lunch today. You know, we're grinding. We're shooting. And I know that you do a lot of stuff like in with cameras and everything.
Sure.
But when you're fishing, sometimes I'll fish for a month to get one episode.
Wow.
You know, like I mean, it just depends, like on bad weather days and so on and so forth. So you don't have time,
Right.
You know, you don't have time to be sick.
What was it was a show? Well,
Well, at the time, I was they were building up to the release of my own show.
okay.
And we were filming episodes, but we never got 12 in a can.
Got
So
it.
I was doing, you know, Pavaromos. I'm doing all these other shows,
Got
you
it.
know,
Okay.
and in the meantime, filming my own.
Got it.
But before they would air a season, I'd have to get 12 in the can.
Okay.
And I got diagnosed
Yes.
before I got 12 in the can.
Wow.
So I never got to.
So your whole world, like
Yeah.
this is how people's lives just snap of a finger. You go, thank God your sister knew. I don't care. That was your sister who told you to do that.
Yeah.
She knew and she didn't want to freak you out. She's like,
Yeah.
just go check your blood. Just do it. But you're my brother. I love you. Just go do it. Thank God you go do that. And now you've been shipped around. Now you're in Miami.
Yeah.
And now they say, hey man, colon cancer all over the place, in lymph nodes, 2 big tumors. Now
Yeah.
what?
So-
This is 2018?
This is 19.
19, right
Yeah.
before the madness kicks in.
Just before the madness. And listen, you know, so
Wow.
I just like I recently saw some of your stand-up stuff and the progression of the pandemic and
Yes.
and how you talked about a lot of that stuff.
Sure.
And that was like literally the life that I was living, the evolution,
Mm,
you know, with all the terror and the worry and the
yes.
you know, the panic and everything else. So this is like, you're very familiar with what was, well, it was a pandemic, so I guess
Yes.
everybody is.
Yes.
So, but
It's many
it's-
different. There's many different definitions of the word pandemic. I call it evil takeover. But anyway,
yeah. So it was 19, late in the year. I get diagnosed.
ugh.
I start missing appearances. I can't.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah. So
They say you got to do chemo. Like what?
yeah. So I'm down in Miami. I never go back to Islamorada. My boat's just sitting.
Mm,
And I'm missing calls to, you know, to shoot. You know, and people are flying down to do this, you know, so it's not a local thing,
no,
you know, it's Bass Pro. They're everywhere,
no,
right?
no one's
So-
living in the Keys.
Yeah. So
Right.
so I start missing those events and stuff like that. So I have to eventually close that chapter of my life.
Mm,
And everything changed. Like Sunday, I was an up and comer.
wow.
And then on Monday I get diagnosed and everything changes,
Right.
you know? So, but you know what? Hey, I don't have time for this. You know, so
That's your attitude.
yeah, you know what? So I'm in Miami and I immediately circle the wagons. I got to,
Right.
you know, because I'm already stage 4. Like this.
What are they telling you? So
Oh, it took
like
him
for-
9 days to tell. It took him 9 days at the VA to actually come clean with it. But you know, they said, you know, they would do the, you know, we can't really tell you that you have cancer. You know, your test hasn't come back yet, so we don't know that you have cancer.
Oh yeah, like we can't make it official,
Yeah.
but if I was you, I'd put all this stock
Yes,
into it.
yes. So I start
wow.
immediately as soon as the writing's on the wall, even before they officially told me. My brother, so my family lives like in Stewart in that area.
Yeah.
And so my parents, my family, they all come right down to Miami.
Mm,
They're all there, right? I have a pretty big family. So 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and they're all like, we're tight. We're really tight. So, and my parents, we're kind of like, we don't see each other all the time, but we're constantly in communication, right? So they knew what was going on in my life, and if my parents don't hear from me for a few days,
Yeah.
they know something's wrong.
Yeah. And
You
they're
know?
like, what, 70s, 80s?
Yeah. So my dad is he'll be 82
Wow.
coming up, and
Yeah.
he's a heart transplant recipient.
Wow.
16 years.
Wow.
So
Okay.
he's a walking miracle.
Yeah.
But so they hadn't heard from me, and they end up reaching out, and my wife, hey, listen, this is going on, we don't know what's we don't have an official word yet. Boom, they're there. So I told you before, I have a lot of family in
Yep.
medicine, in
Yep.
that field, but they're not into cancer.
No.
I don't have cancer in my family.
Right.
There's no history. That I have no idea about cancer.
Right.
So, and it's such a foreign thing. I mean, we have heart problems.
Because a lot of times, yeah, because even like colon cancer, a lot is, from what I understand, I don't know this for a fact, hereditary. Like people are born, it's in their gene, blah, blah, blah,
Yes.
in the past. But
And in my case, there was
no one's ever had it.
no history of
Right.
it. And however, there is a history of self-neglect, and denial.
Right.
So I got that gene.
All right.
I got the hemorrhoids from my mom, and the denial gene from my dad.
Right.
So so it was hereditary
All
for
right.
me.
All right.
But so there was no reason for me. This was a total shock, and there was no nexus. We had no nexus in my family. Like you start calling them favors, right? There's
Yeah.
no nexus to cancer.
No.
It's such a foreign thing, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, my brothers reached out to his childhood friends, and they're all involved in cancer in the medical field now. So now we have some connections, and one thing led to another. I bada bing, ipso facto, bam, landed at Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa like a few days later.
Okay.
It normally would take like a few weeks to get in there.
Right.
Literally it was within the same week. It
Yeah.
was like the weekdays.
Yeah. Thank
I
God.
think
You
it was
know
like
this one, know that one, bing,
Yeah.
boom, go there.
I was having a port surgically put into my chest,
I know
which
all
I
that.
still have, right? So
Yeah.
I was having that port put in like at the end of the week. Like it was
Yeah.
that fast.
Yeah.
So it was really, really quick, and it was a whirlwind. Because remember, a few days ago, I was doing TV.
Right.
I was literally
You just finished
Every-
filming it you're at your family's house.
yeah.
And you're on top of the world, like, all right,
Oh,
so
man.
once this airs, then I'll be doing a 5-picture movie deal. And then after the 5-picture movie deal, then I'll buy a house over here. And then then me and Sam, I'll start calling Sam. Say, hey man, I got this idea. Like, you're in
to
it
be
now.
clear about the Sam thing, is I drove the boat.
Right, trust me.
I mean, I did. I drove
Sure.
the boat. He wouldn't remember me tomorrow. So, well, I don't know.
You never know.
He does have a couple of my T-shirts.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
So now, okay, you're in Tampa. Now, when at Miami, did they tell you, hey, it don't look good?
yeah, they didn't tell me what stage I was in really. Because I think at the time
They were still waiting.
they were still waiting on cultures to come back.
Okay. All right.
And
Yeah.
And oddly enough, and that was at the VA hospital in Miami, huge teaching hospital and everything. They don't have, well, I'm sure they do. I don't know why it was taking so long for me to get these test results back.
Mm.
At Moffitt, I go to clinic at 6:00 in the morning. At 8:00 in the morning, I know what my scan said.
Dude, not only that, like I remember when my wife, when she was told, we were in there and they were like, it's everywhere. And this is the third go around for her. So it's everywhere. And they said, except for her brain, but it's in the organs, it's in it's everywhere. You have a couple months. She may make it. She may make it by the holidays. And this was like February. But what led up to that? She's fine now. She's okay right now.
I
She's
only
good.
know that because I saw a stand-up thing that you said something about
Yeah.
it.
No, but I remember once we were told that, I handed the scans or whatever, the blood work, to a friend, And it took him 3 seconds to go, okay, you need to get on a plane, you need to fly here, you need to talk to that one like right now. He already knew. You don't you go to Houston, you know, the thing, and then they'll put you on a trial, and you need to listen to this doctor, whatever he says, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, they should know.
Did you go to MD Anderson?
In Houston.
Yeah.
But then she was off to, and the Houston said, you need to go to Philadelphia right now. That's the only place that can save your life. That's the Brocker gene. She has the Brocker gene.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because her family thinks they're all like very German and we are this and that. And I'm like, well, guess what? Brocker gene is from the Jewish descent, so you might have a little Stein somewhere that you're hiding. Somewhere along the line, the Maywalds hit a Stein. I'm just saying.
You know what?
Maywald Stein.
I got to tell you, I've never even explored that.
No, it's a whole different. That's a whole different gene and all that jazz. So I don't want to take away from what you're saying. So
no, just so you know, because we just like literally started.
Yeah.
I have a podcast, right?
Yeah, Brian was telling me that he wants you on the podcast. I went, all right, well, you do mine first.
Yeah. So it's called Beating Cancer Today, and it's not very organized, right? It's I'm just a dude. I'm just a guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I just I really talk about what's logical.
Yes.
More logic than science.
Yeah.
But everything that I say has science to back it up from a major cancer institution, MD Anderson, Sloan Kettering, Mayo Clinic. So I mean, everything that I discuss is all science. It's all science, but I don't discuss the science of it. I discuss the logic of it.
Yes.
Right. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
to me, it does.
Wow.
Somewhat.
So anyway, so I started talking about this, right? Yeah. And so I have these episodes that are chronological, but I don't want to get too far sideways because I think I just kind of took a left turn. Getting back to the story.
Yeah.
Because we're going to come full circle.
Sure. I trust it.
But so I go to Moffitt, right? I get
Moffitt's in Tampa? Okay.
Yes.
Tampa, Florida.
I go from Miami to Tampa.
Yep.
Right. And I get to Moffitt. It's a whirlwind. They throw me in. I get my port put in.
Yep.
And I bam. I'm meeting with doctor after doctor. I meet with my medical oncologist and my radiation oncologist, my my surgical oncologist. And so first thing I want to do is get the disease out, right? They want to get the tumors out.
Yeah.
So I go right into surgery. And they remove 15 centimeters of disease. Right?
Whoa.
Yeah.
15 centimeter tumor.
Yeah.
Tumors.
Well, one tumor that was 15 in one direction and 5 in the other direction. So I don't know how you would measure that. But
okay.
So
wow.
And then they took the better part of my colon out.
Right.
And
they have a semicolon.
Yeah.
Paul Bond joke.
That's yeah. Oddly enough, I've actually not.
That's for you, Paul Bond.
I actually never even heard that, and I mentioned the name colon a lot.
Okay.
I say the name colon, but not the person's name colon. Actually, the body part colon.
Right, Colin.
Yeah, and not Colin, but
colon.
Yeah, that one. So yeah, and they took out they took out my rectum too. So they took out my rectum.
That's the rectum where it comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the
wait, so you bag it now? Like
I did have a bag.
Okay.
So they took out my rectum.
Okay.
They took out my rectum, they took out my colon.
Okay.
But I still have my anus, right? And that's like really the
I'm
seal.
so confused. The anus is the hole?
The anus is the hole, the seal.
Where it all comes out.
Yeah. I'm sure that this got weird, but I don't know.
No. Just because, listen, I you say colon, but I just think it's ass.
Yeah,
I'm not the brightest human being. So the anus is
it's the last line of defense, bro. It's like, it is the anus is like it's the last line of defense. It's what holds strong. They're holding the line.
Yes,
they're toting the line or whatever they say, right? So, but on the inside of that is the rectum.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
They remove that because that had cancer in it.
Okay.
And on the inside of that is the colon.
Yes. Okay.
And then the colon goes all the way up to your intestines. Right?
Got you.
So they took my rectum and my colon out,
Gone.
and I was in a bag,
Okay.
an actual ileostomy bag, not a colostomy bag. So
Okay.
it was higher up in my stomach.
So how long is that struggle into chemo and this?
3
and you're
years.
like 3 years?
3 years nonstop chemotherapy. They switched it, full fox.
They keep
full
doing
fury.
it different. Let's
Immunotherapy.
mix this, let's mix
Yeah.
that, and mix that, and that cocktail.
Yeah, so I reached my lifetime max of chemotherapy. They couldn't give me, my organs started shutting down. Everything started going bad. And they just, because I was so young. So they blasted me full.
And like, he
full
can take
force.
it, and his organs can take it.
And I told him, I said, you're not going to break me.
Right.
Bring it. Come on,
Right.
let's go.
Right.
And then they'd walk out of the room and I'd cry to my wife and I'd say, I can't do this. And this,
Well, that's the thing too. Like,
I didn't want them to stop.
no, I know that, but people don't understand that emotional battle when you, and I know plenty of people have had cancer, and then hey, you're fine, and then 2-3 months, well, it's not good.
Yeah.
You know what we're gonna say? Hey, it's getting better. It's just start getting worse, and that because the minute you start seeing the light, you're like, oh my god, finally, and then a bang, you're right back, and you got to start over. That I think that kills way more people than that's anticipated, because your moral and your spirit are just completely taken out from under you.
Yeah.
That's a rough go at it. It's like getting beaten, and then they go, all right, we're gonna let you go, and then all of a sudden you make it like 3 blocks, and you already had coffee. Like, I haven't had pizza and so, and then they kept like, we're gonna beat you again. No, and it goes over and over and over. So you're going through this for a couple years now.
Yeah. They tell me, listen, if it hasn't worked by now, it's not going to work. And we can't give you any more. So just, you got to go home and, live your life, man.
Wow.
Go home and live. We have like 2 more treatments left, but we're going to save those for the end of life.
Wow.
Yeah. Just so you have some quality of life. But if it hasn't worked by now, it's not going to work. You should go home and live your life. And I'm like, well, what kind of life am I going to live?
Right.
And for how long?
Right.
So I'm driving south on 75 in tears.
Wow.
And I'm so weak. I can't even steer my truck, man. My wife is with me and I'm on the phone. I'm talking to my sister. My sister was just on the phone with the doctor and she's in tears and she's like, oh no. And I'm like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Like we need to keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Where there's life, there's hope.
Always.
And I was alive. I was driving down 75, right? And I say, listen, stop, collect yourself. I'm telling my sister, right? Let's call in my other sister. Now, my other sister is the spiritual beacon, right? So I call her and I got my sister on 3-way. So now it's me and my 2 sisters talking. I'm still struggling to drive my truck down 75, sick as can be. She says, get her on the phone and she's like, oh, well, and tell her the news. And she's like, well, that's awful. That's terrible.
Yes.
And my other sister,
Right.
And she's like, well, what are we going to do? Immediately, in her own little whatever world she lives in, this Neverland, whatever.
Right.
In her own little world, the first reaction she had was not the news that we just got, but how are we going to react to that news?
Right.
What are you going to do about it?
Right.
And she says, just coincidentally, now this is early, and I think it was Tuesday. And I told you, she's like crazy in church, like crazy involved in church. Right. And she does like these Bible groups, and
Bible studies and all that stuff.
Yeah. Small groups, I think they're called or something like that. And she says, hey, Kevin, there's this guy, one of my neighbors in church, her neighbor had the same kind of cancer as you. And he got diagnosed at the same time as you.
Huh.
And he opted out of chemo. And I said, okay, well,
Right. Well, that's
where do I send those flowers?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Right.
You know,
Right.
because I just went through 3 years of hell.
Right.
Right. So where do I send those flowers? Because certainly if he didn't do what I did,
Yes.
he's a goner for sure.
100%. Right.
She said, no, you know, his wife is a veterinarian, and he did one round and he said, screw this, I'm done. And his wife, somehow, some way, it came up that it was thought or theorized that cancer was parasitic. And here it comes. So
I've been starting to see this more and more. Very interesting.
yeah. So, I left a very important detail out.
What's that?
They're from Brazil. So they're from Brazil.
So they're not part of the FDA.
Yeah.
The very trusted FDA.
She's a veterinarian in Brazil, right?
Hmm.
Her father is like a world-renowned heart surgeon in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he opts out of the chemotherapy and says there's got to be a better way. She puts him on this fenbendazole, this dog dewormer, or a cattle dewormer, or horse dewormer, depending on what applicator you get. And she says, Kevin, he's cancer free. I said, what do you mean this guy is cancer free? How is that possible?
Yeah.
She said, listen, he took this horse dewormer. That's what happened. And me and my other sister, the nurse that was on the three-way.
Yeah.
We laughed at her. Oh, we laughed at Shelly. Here's Disney. She's a crazy, because she's a nut. She's an absolute crazy person, right? She just told me to go take horse dewormer, and because
Reminds me of a different story.
was somebody in the cult that she belongs to. This is what I'm thinking about.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
She's not in a church; she's in a cult, and everybody's taking dog dewormer and horse medicine and this and that, you know. And keeping in mind, I was a little bit desensitized to it. Because if you remember during the pandemic,
I remember.
Somebody started taking ivermectin.
Ivermectin.
So we're laughing at my sister. We're still plugging south on 75. I'm on three-way. Disney's sister just says, hey, Kevin, try this, dog dewormer, ha, ha, ha. And me and my other sister are laughing and laughing and laughing. Just because she's crazy.
She's crazy.
And then we get off the phone.
Yeah.
And the radio is off, and all I just hear is just the sound of the rubber on the road just running south. And my thoughts are by myself, and I'm crying, man. And I don't know what I mean, because in front of other people, I'm a Marine. I'm a fucking warrior.
Right.
This is, it's time. Let's go.
Right.
But I just met with the social worker that was setting hospice up for me.
Wow.
And I just, there's never been a moment that was more real. And I didn't know what to do. So I called my sister back, Disney. I called her back and I said, hey, Shelly, you got the number to that guy? And I was just choking back my tears just to call her.
Yeah.
I couldn't even see the road in front of me. My eyes are all like yours, but like, I was really just, I was a mess.
Sure.
I said, you got that guy's phone number?
Yeah.
Because shit got real.
Yeah.
All the fun and games, the laughing, the joking, you're crazy, ha, ha, ha. But then the silence set in, and I'm still going south, and it's like another 30, 40 miles I passed, and I still have to deal with hospice when I get home. Hey, Shelly, you still got that number? She gives me the guy's phone number. And I just called him right then. As quick as you called me for this thing.
Yes.
Like, it was faster than this.
Wow.
Right then, I call him. Mile markers are flipping on 75. And I call him. And the guy's name is Brent. And I say, hey, you don't know me, man. My name's Kevin, but I just got sent home to die. And I just really would love to talk to you about what you did to avoid that. And he said, I'm on a roof right now. I can't hear. Can I give you a call back? I can't even steer my truck.
Right.
I'm so weak.
Right.
This guy's swinging a hammer on a roof, laying cement, concrete, whatever.
right.
Tiles
Right.
on a
He's gonna be
roof.
dead. Right.
Yeah. And keeping in mind, it's August. It's the end of August.
In Florida.
In Florida.
Right. It's 200 degrees on the roof.
So I said, please call me, man. Please. And sure enough, by the time I reached the bridge to Marco Island, he called.
Mm.
And he said, listen, take it if you want, don't take it if you don't want, but here's some resources. He gave me enough resources to kind of do some homework.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, well, if you don't believe me, there's a network of people out there and it's not so crazy. And which I get why he was kind of standoffish because he doesn't know me. Right. And a lot of people waste your time.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gone through a couple of these.
Indecisiveness.
Yes. And they're not sure because they don't trust anything outside our medicine.
Yeah. Which is fine.
And it is fine. And they don't believe it.
That's great.
And that's the tragic part.
And that's why God made flavors. Different,
right.
different folks, different strokes. If where are you at in your journey?
This is one of a billion stories. We got to keep. Listen, we got to keep. You got to keep hanging out. You got to become like a new friend.
Absolutely,
We got to. I wish I wasn't leaving tomorrow, but I just want everyone. So, what is the drug that you've been on?
Okay, so it's a fenbendazole-based cocktail. I call it a cocktail, right?
Yeah.
Because it's 5 different ingredients. So
Okay.
after I started doing the research.
Right. So it's not just that alone. What are you taking that and how long have you been taking this where you are now? Are you cancer-free?
Oh, yes, I am.
You're 100% cancer-free.
So, well, here it goes. So that day, he handed me that stuff. September 2nd. 2021.
Wow.
I started taking it that day. The deep dive was over. I started taking it blindly off of faith alone because I saw God's plan unfold in front of me. My decision was made. I didn't do any more digging. I just blindly, and I didn't know shit about it. I just blindly did because I saw this unfold in front of me. So I said, you know what? I don't have time to be educated. But I have time to be faithful. I have time to have faith, right? So I took a leap of faith.
Wow.
I started doing it.
Wow.
September 2nd, 2021, 6 weeks in. Now, keeping in mind, 6 weeks in.
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to make it.
You weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
The hospice.
6 weeks in, I had already had a scheduled scan up at Moffitt on the books. But I wasn't supposed to make that. They had already previously told me to clear the calendar.
Right.
So I never did because I am inherently irresponsible. So but I did it. So 6 weeks, I still had a scan on the books.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to eat. I'm starting to gain some weight. I'm starting to actually hold some weight. And my mobility. A big thing with me was my bowel movements. I was a slave to plumbing.
Yeah.
Because of the type of cancer I had,
Yep.
right? So I couldn't go out, venture off into the world without a toilet nearby, you know, and I don't go into public bathrooms. So, I'm just saying, I'm not an animal. I mean, I use baby wipes.
Right.
I use baby wipes. I got a bidet, man.
I drop a deuce wherever I want.
Listen, I'm not a savage. I'm sorry. I just, come on. I got to,
all right.
So, but I was regulating. Like I was actually able to leave the house. Like I wasn't like a slave to plumbing anymore. And then tick, 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 6 weeks comes. My scan's there. I might as well take it. Right. It's already paid for,
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
And what does that scan say?
50% less disease.
Wow.
So they said it's residual effects from the chemo.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Thank God. Residual effects from the chemo.
It was the chemo. Now, I know he said it didn't work. Now it's working.
Keep on. Go home, live your life. Hey, everything's great. By the way, you're still going to die. They still said it's coming back. So 14 weeks later, 14 weeks from September 2nd.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So So how many weeks? What's 14 minus 6?
14.
8. So
yeah.
8 more weeks.
Yeah.
Right. I have another scan. No evidence of disease.
Wow.
No evidence of
And
disease.
that was straight up just that dewormer. It wasn't any, you weren't mixing it. Are you
No, I
eating
was.
well?
No, I
Yeah.
was
What are you
not eating
taking? I
well.
want everyone to know what exactly you were
so
taking.
it's a breakdown of 5 different things.
Yeah.
Right. It's fenbendazole, and I take the paste because I feel like that's the,
That's what you take.
well, honestly, people give their gazillion dollar racehorses, in the Kentucky Derby, fenbendazole, so they're not going to kill their horse. People
No.
care about money more than they care about you.
Of course.
Right. So I trust that paste.
Okay.
Right. So
you take that.
So I take that because there's people watching, and
Sure.
I don't want them to take.
Right. Don't
whatever.
listen. We're not just telling stories here.
Just
We're
a
not
couple of
doctors.
guys.
Yeah.
No,
So-
but there's other knockoff brands that I wouldn't recommend to people.
Okay. So you're taking that. What else?
I take the fenbendazole paste, right? And I also take curcumin, which is anti-inflammatory. It's also
Okay.
antioxidant. And I take cimetidine, which is the active ingredient in Tagamet,
Okay.
right?
Is it expensive?
No, I mean, the kicker is that everything is, you get it right on Amazon.
Wow.
You know?
I saw this too. I saw something where you can get all this stuff on Amazon and it would treat it would treat cancer. It'll treat.
Yeah, but
I feel like I saw this recently too.
Dude, it's like all you got to do, it's there if you're looking for it. But
Right.
if you just go through life, everyday life or whatever, and you're not looking at it's not, nobody's going to talk about it because it doesn't do big pharma any good. But hold on, just so you know, the 5 ingredients,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Fenbendazole, annatto, which is it's only the good parts of vitamin E,
Okay.
right? So it's not like these are crazy things.
Right.
Vitamin E is not crazy,
Right.
right? So annatto, Tagamet, which it's really the active ingredient in Tagamet, which is cimetidine, but everybody takes Tagamet, right?
Yeah.
So it's not so crazy.
Right.
Curcumin, which is an anti-inflammatory.
Yep.
And so that's not crazy. People
No.
take that.
No.
And there's a collection of mushrooms. It's supposed to maximize that, especially in the pandemic. A lot of people were trying to boost their immune system.
Yes.
So, and I started taking this stuff during the pandemic. So that was important to me
Okay.
because vaccines were flying around.
Right.
I got vaccinated. I got
Wow.
vaccinated
You got vaccinated.
3 times.
Really?
So yeah, just as I'm sitting here, I could just die, but I'm not gonna. So because of that, I guess that's a censorship thing.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I was worried about that. So curcumin was important for anti-inflammatory, but AHCC is active hexose correlated compound. It's
Okay.
a collection of mushrooms,
Okay.
right? And that's supposed to maximize your immune system. So I took that for my immune system. But all of the things, all 5 ingredients, AHCC, fenbendazole, cimetidine, annatto, and curcumin, all of those 5 things. And it's posted on Beating Cancer Today on the group page on Facebook. You can see the ingredients. And also, I have that posted on the ingredients, all the supporting documentation. Everything is supported by medical clinical trials from a major cancer institution.
Mm.
Tagamet, cimetidine back in the 80s. MD Anderson did a clinical trial on it.
Yep.
36 people had cured them all.
Yep.
They defunded it and got rid of it, never spoke about it again.
I remember seeing there was something on HBO too where I saw something. Anything that starts curing is
Yeah.
immediately out. And then what people don't understand is you make way more money someone staying on drugs and being sick. Being sick is a big profit.
As Sir Ice Cube, the great Sir Ice Cube said, I saw him say, when you're making the bullets and the Band-Aids, you always want to stay in war. It's profitable to stay in war when you're making the bullets and the Band-Aids. And Big Pharma, the Rockefellers making both ends of it.
It's interesting. No, that's going to be my
kind
bunker.
of raise some
No.
flags. I think
It's
some
I'm
bots
actually
got us on that one.
no. It's part of my bunker stuff too. So yeah, no, we're all on it. One incredible story. And one more time, what is your podcast?
Beating Cancer Today.
Beating Cancer Today. Now we got to hang out. Like this is the craziest podcast that's just pulled out of we just met.
Yeah,
So
and, my number one job in life is to build back a better version of myself. Like I told you earlier that I didn't have to drive out, or we could have zoomed this.
right. I said, why don't we just Zoom
because
And you went, I'd rather be in person.
Because would you have gotten this
No.
kind of impact if we
No.
were together?
No.
This is how important this is.
You're right.
You know, and I feel like I was given a shot, right? I mean, like got a mulligan on this one, right? And I feel like I need to build back a better version because the old Kevin was kind of a dick. No offense. I'm sorry. I don't know how to say that.
You're fine.
Like I thought, like the old Kevin wasn't a good person.
Incredible.
You know? And I just feel like if every person that I come into contact with, that person could be my purpose. So if I'm a dick to that person, like if I'm the old Kevin to every new person that I meet,
Yep.
I might have blown that one shot.
Yeah.
To make an impact on my purpose. What if I lose my purpose? Then maybe that cancer comes back. I don't know.
No, but you're right.
But who knows?
You don't know.
Wouldn't it be so much cooler if everybody was just thinking that maybe that person is their purpose, and then everybody's cool to each other?
It's an incredible way to look in life, and I think more people should look that way because I always say, to every moment in time, everyone you come across, if you cause friction, which doesn't need to happen, you're causing such a negative effect that you'll never understand how powerful that negative effect is. If you come across people and you put something beautiful and positive out there, you don't know how they're affected, and you don't know how far and wide that spider web goes, dude.
Have you heard the coffee bean? Did you hear the coffee bean story? So a while back when I first got sick, you know, I have a wise man in my circle too. And he says to me, an old Marine Corps buddy says, you know, it's time that you started being a coffee bean. And I didn't know what he was talking. He was always like very cryptic and stuff. And I'm like, man, I don't got time for that.
Right.
I think don't spit riddles at me.
Right. Just get to the point.
Get to the point.
Yeah.
And he says, well, you know what? When you submerge potatoes or carrots into hot water, the hot water affects those items, the carrots, and get mushy, and the carrots get mushy, and the environment affects those things. But when you put a coffee bean into hot water, the coffee bean affects the environment. So be a coffee bean. Don't be influenced by the environment that you're in, because this shit's crazy, man. You look at the stuff going on in the world right now.
Right.
You know, so I can't be influenced by that. I have to be a coffee bean, and maybe I can influence you.
Wow, dude.
Maybe I could turn the water into coffee instead of you turning me into mush.
I'm going to end this right here, because the coffee bean thing it opens up a whole new world for me. That's another whole story. Thanks for sharing this incredible story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I say on my podcast all the time, you know, that I just prayed that this message could reach a different platform. I have like 600 followers, you know, so
it just did. And something tells me more will at least take a look your way.
Man, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin Hennings, everyone. I know a lot of people really, really were affected by today and the conversation today. And, you know, some people are going to be very skeptical, whatever, and that's okay. But if you realize how organic today went, maybe you'll tap into something a little deeper, a little more spiritual, a little more faithful, a little more just, and there's so many people struggling out there with what Kevin has, and you ain't got a lot of time left. He didn't either. And yet I got the opportunity to be with him, and who knows, we may have saved some people out there, or at least entertained at the least amount. So be safe wherever you are. Be aware of when you're in a moment where you can be, as Kevin said, a coffee bean, and be aware how you can affect other people's lives to make it better, which will make your life better. And stay focused on the light, on the love, and the faith of everything, and not the television and the demons that come at you 24/7. We will conquer all. Have a good one. See you next week in the Breuniverse.
If you'd like to check out this episode uncut and uncensored, head on over to my Patreon page at jimbreuer.com/Patreon. This is Jim Breuer, and I got my own Patreon page, and hopefully you'll check it out. Live comedy concert streamed once a month. Early access to the Breuniverse podcast every single week, and have bonus footage and bonus segments. I promise you I'm not going to let you down. Go check out my official Jim Breuer Patreon page, and I'll see you there.